Hey guys, how you doing? In today's video, yes, we are finally covering Nightcap. It's been a long time coming. In case you're not familiar with the series, then all you need to know is that I cover the basics of a character, including their abilities, their upgrades, and more, up until we come to the conclusion of if the character is good or not. So with the intro out of the way, let's get right into it. Let's start out with a bit of a history lesson. Nightcap was once undisputably the best character in the game, and that was for a very simple reason. Her damage output was extremely high, especially in a game where most returning characters were nerfed and most of the new cast were just flat out weak. In fact, her one sole contender was Oak, but that was mostly due to his bulkiness. Nowadays, she's actually better than her founder's counterpart, but everyone else was also buffed. So people can now deal with Nightcap much better than they could before, especially characters like Engineer, 80s, and Deadbeard. So now that you understand her history, let's actually cover her basic stats. She has 75 HP, she has a double jump, and to top it all off, her primary deals a static 18 damage, with an RPM of 200. That's pretty good if you ask me. Now, let's move on to her abilities. Let's start with casting shadows. This ability is simple. It encases any area Nightcap aims at in a circular shadow, and it lasts for a few seconds. This ability also has a few perks, such as any plants going into it will be hidden, so throwing the shadow at a vanquished plant will encase you, and make it much easier to revive the teammate. On top of this, any zombie hit with casting shadows will lose a little bit of control of their character, and this is useful in conjunction with the next ability, Feng Fu. There's a pretty good chance that a few of you just got war flashbacks, and you're welcome. This ability is very simple as well. Nightcap starts to spin, and she spins so much that she becomes a tornado of carnage. If an opponent happens to be in this tornado, they're more than likely good as vanquished. In fact, the only characters that can survive a full Feng Fu are the Imp Z-Mech and Space Station, and even then it still does quite a number on them. Unfortunately, there's a few downsides to this ability. When you exit Feng Fu, you're vulnerable to an attack for a second or so, which is more than enough time for a character like Deadbeard to step in and eliminate you. Also, Feng Fu isn't invincible. And although you do gain a damage reduction, you could still get killed by stuff like an Imp Hunt, so be careful when you're using this ability. And last but certainly not least is Shadow Sneak. The idea is simple. Nightcap becomes nearly invisible for 3 seconds, and in that duration of time, she can move just a little bit faster. You actually get 2 of these, similar to Scientist Warp, so don't hesitate to use it when you need to. One thing that should be noted is that you may be invisible, but you could still be shot, so definitely be a little bit careful. And that's a basic rundown of Nightcap. She's a pretty interesting character, and it's no wonder why she was such an overpowered character in Founders, considering her kit. But that's not all we're covering, as another major part of playing Nightcap is making use of her upgrades, so let's take a look at them. So, if you watched my previous explaining characters videos, then you know what I'm about to talk about. In this section, I basically cover a few upgrades for the topical character. So let's get started. Parkour is the first upgrade I'd like to discuss, and it's pretty simple. It just increases your movement speed in the second jump. Well, that's partially true. See, what actually happens is your sideways second jump gains a 40% speed boost, and your backwards jump gains a 20% boost. Unfortunately, your forward jump just isn't increased at all. Now, that being said, this upgrade is still very good. It makes hitting Nightcap much harder than it would normally be, which is why most Nightcap mains gravitate towards this upgrade. Next up, we have Piercing Power, which is pretty simple in concept as well. You gain the ability to pierce enemies with your primary, but that's not all. In a very strangely similar fashion to Mob Cobs, you actually gain ammo every single time you pierce an enemy, up to 60 ammo to be exact. This ammo isn't permanent, but it's still pretty nice to have when you do have it. And up next is Shadow Tribute, Nightcap's most expensive upgrade, costing 4 upgrade points. This upgrade is pretty simple as well. It teleports Nightcap a short distance when she enters Shadow Sneak. It sounds pretty basic, but you'd be surprised at how effective this will be in a battle. And for the final upgrade I'm covering in this section, it's Uppercut, a Feng Fu upgrade. This upgrade, like the rest, is pretty simple. It literally launches an opponent that gets Feng Fu'd into the air. Now, it may sound pretty meh, right? Well, think about it like this. What does an opponent try to do first when they get Feng Fu'd? They try to run, right? So, what's the best counter? Well, by launching them in the air, of course. It doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it's much better than what you think. And for the final section before our conclusion, it's my personal favorite, the build section. It's pretty simple. All I do is I give you guys a couple of basic Nightcap build ideas, and you can either take these ideas or you can make your own. Up to you. Anyways, the first one is a support build. It contains Incubate, Refreshing Revive, and Shadow Sling. Shadow Sling is there to get to vanquish teammates faster, Refreshing Revive is for getting your abilities faster when you revive someone, and Incubate is there to make the process of reviving faster, as the upgrade cuts the time to revive teammates in half, so long as the teammate in question is sitting inside casting shadows. And for the other build, it's an attack build. It contains Parkour, Piercing Power, and Combo. I don't really think I need to explain this one. Every single upgrade here explains itself. So now, with all of the knowledge we have of Nightcap, we can finally answer the question, is Nightcap worth playing? I would say yes. Absolutely. At times, she's a pretty cheap character to play, especially with an ability like Feng Fu, but at the same time, she's countered by quite a few zombies, so it's fairly balanced overall. And also, this character has a somewhat high skill ceiling, so definitely try her out. And with that, I think I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end, I really appreciate it. Do you agree with my take on Nightcap? Do you not? Well, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new around here and you like what you see, then drop a like, maybe even subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.